This video is going to be very long and I'm just going to let it happen. Wow. Wow, guys, wow. We have a lot of ground to cover today. I got a cup of coffee. Mug Cheetah is here. I've already been swatching some of the exciting things that we're gonna be working with today over here. And I really just need all of the positivity I can get. So we have the usual candle from New Savant on deck. Smells like cocoa and coffee. This week, today's Friday by the way, this week has been so awesome and just so fun and everything, but technology-wise, my computer has eaten 2 videos, okay? I did order a new computer. Again, we have so much to cover because I've said so many things to you guys that just evaporated into thin air. So I don't even know what I told you and what I haven't, but I did pretty spontaneously spend $3,000 on a new laptop this week because, well, the signals were loud and clear. There was really no getting around it. All right, it's gonna start smelling phenomenal in here in a second. Today we're gonna be doing a chatty get ready with me that is gonna be like a feel-good kind of face of makeup for me. And we're going to be using some new stuff that I haven't gotten to talk to you guys about yet. Namely, the new Rose Inc Skin Enhanced Luminous Tinted Serum. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about this real quick. I filmed an entire wear test with this, the new Rose Inc, against the Le Beige Water Fresh tint. Y'all, it was the most tedious, boring video that I've ever made. I realized that I haven't done any wear tests in a long time because I find them to be really tedious and boring. I would rather do them on my own time, take some footage, and do a get ready with me where we all have a lot more fun and I just tell you guys the bottom line on it. So basically these are exactly the same. That's where the video landed, except for the fact that this is less expensive by $16. It is a larger shade range, and it doesn't have a fragrance. So my belief is that Rosie Huntington Whiteley has always probably loved the Le Beige Water Fresh tint, and she said if I'm going to put out my own makeup line, I'm going to improve on my favorite foundation. And she did, and we're all better for it. So if you already have this, you don't need this. If you've been quibbling about either one, go with this. And if you don't care, then don't spend your money on it. And that just saved all of us like 45 minutes of me just being like, me, is it glowier? Is it more blurry? They're the same. I also have, as promised, I mean, first of all, I have like Valentine's Day gobstopper nails, which is giving me life, but also the new RMS Eyelights. And I swiggity swatched them on the back of my hand today. I have a new lip gloss from NARS. It's not new to NARS, but I saw Hannah talking about how she was thinking about buying it, and you guys know my threshold for buying something that's suggested to me is like at the other end of the spectrum from Hannah's. Like, she's like, I'm going to vet it against everything else that I own. I'm like, I'm going to add it to cart and check out right now. And so it is already in my hot little hands. And I'm also going to, I mean, I have other things, but I'm also going to try a funny little trick that I saw Ingrid do on her stories yesterday, where she used Oyster Pearl as a bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. And I never use this because it creases on my eyes, but like, let's try it out on my cheeks, shall we? So yeah, I have other things that I need to share with you guys, but I also, this was all spurred by my Instagram. You guys are so awesome. I was a total mess yesterday because I had lost so much content. And I was like, where do I pick back up? I feel like I had completely lost the thread of our conversation because I do feel like this is a conversation. It's a phenomenal feedback loop, but I felt like I let you guys down and I let myself down. And so I needed a little bit of help. And you guys really pepped me up for this video and the things that you guys wanted to see, but also I asked you guys for like personal questions basically, and just the peek that I took last night before I went to bed, you guys had already sent some amazing, wonderful questions that I'm like really psyched to answer today. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I guess I'll move you guys in. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I'm like already moved in kind of thing. And we'll put all this makeup on my face, hopefully do something that's really, really beautiful and fun. And also we will chat personal things to rekindle what I feel like I personally have lost here alone in a room losing footage all week. Yay, let's do it. All right. So yeah, my camera, nothing personal against camera. Camera, you are great. My computer is 10 years old. So I've put this off long enough, and I had to film everything twice this week. Everything, because it was either like an export issue where my camera was like whirring really, really loudly, like whoosh, and it was really hard to like hear the audio. I edited it out, but it sounded really tinny, and that was even the video I was going to use, and then my card ate the last third of the video. And then I just tried to see if I could recover it, but my card ate the rest of the footage too. So it's just one big void where I had edited that video. It is so disheartening to lose content like that. I know I said that we were gonna be working with the rose ink, but I'm actually gonna start with this. Ingrid gave this to me when I was in the city over last weekend, and this is the face glaze from In Beauty Project. I admit I had never tried anything from In Beauty Project because I felt like the packaging was very Gen Z. And you guys know I'm just like, am I allowed to use that? You know? But it's so gorgeous. State of Kate always raves about it too, but Ingrid had bought backups and she's like, you're getting one. And it's a lot lighter weight than I thought it was going to be. It's basically a colorless champagne-ish primer complexion product, but it's like, it's not thick at all. It's not going to give me like really, really intense emollient. So that was another thing I noticed with the rose ink was the first day that I wore it, I really got no wear time out of it. Like by 4 hours in, it looked like I've been wearing it for 8 hours. Everything was just starting to really disintegrate. And I realized it's because I've been testing a new moisturizer that hasn't come out yet, but it's gonna come out really, really soon. I'll be happy to share it with you guys. And it's outrageously occlusive, like godsend occlusive, but it definitely didn't help with the performance of this particular foundation because it's already really moisturizing. So that's the face glaze. You know, Ingrid, who has absolutely no pigmentation whatsoever, like no freckles or anything, like she can just wear it on its own. I'm a fan of a little bit more help than that. So this is the Rose Ink Skin Enhanced Luminous Tinted Serum. You know, final thoughts on this is I would absolutely recommend it if you like the way that this is about to look. But if you are going to buy it, I don't know where I was going with that. If you are planning on buying it, just bear in mind that it kind of is a standalone skincare product. You don't need to like really, really, really prep your skin for it because it already has quite a bit of really nice like moisturizing skincare in it. So if you find when you use it, you're like, oh my gosh, the wear time's non-existent, but the claims on it are long wearing, maybe just like lighten up on your beauty oils that morning or something. I did find it to wear really, really beautifully. It kind of reminded me actually of the Sneaky Balm in the way that it does just like sink into the skin. Another thing that I've been really lamenting recently is just like how hard it is to discern the differences between all of these skin tints when they all just dropped at the same time. And I don't really know how to review them without doing the wear test thing and just getting in the weeds with it, but I think that like we're all kind of past that. Mainly you do wear tests so that, and this is, you know, some inside intel into the YouTube world, you do wear tests and individual product reviews because it is very Google friendly. So instead of showing up when someone searches something on YouTube, you even show up when someone searches it on Google. Like you show up in the search results at the top, like here's a video review. And they actually will do like auto chapters and stuff. So it's very, very easy for people to find what they're looking for, and it tends to attract new eyes. It's also really dry because anybody who's looking for a review really wants you to cut to the chase. They only want to watch about 90 seconds of your video, and like if that attracts people, that's fantastic, but I'm fortunate enough to be in a phase of my channel where I can make more videos, like a higher proportion of my videos for my audience who's already here and what we like to watch and the vibe that we like to have. And it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be just these like super straightforward, very, very like facts only kinds of reviews, because just a random passerby on the internet might not have the patience for my long-windedness kind of thing. So I consider myself very, very fortunate to be able to take things the way that I like to digest them. So I feel like every time I slouch, you're like losing my face. I'm gonna, all right. I really, really loved the first ones that I got last night. So that's where I'm going to start. Oh, Ingrid asked me a really, really hard one too. Okay, so my Magic Emily asked, what's an aesthetic you've tried to have but failed at? This is like right inside my brain. I love this. Ooh, okay, we're gonna do concealer. Should I do, okay, so this is very like low coverage, which makes me want to do a little more actual coverage with the concealer. PMG, Pamire. I'm gonna do this one. Oh no, she's starting to kind of separate. It's a little yellow. I wonder if I can just mix that back together. Does it smell weird? This is not exactly clean beauty. It smells fine. Okay, anyway. I would say that one of the biggest aesthetics that I have really tried at and failed at is minimalism. And it is something that it was like swept the internet there for a while, you know? And I got to watching a lot of like minimalist creators. I love Jenny Mustard. I love Chloe Kian. I can't even remember all of them, but I still watch a channel called Never Too Small, and it's all of these like minimalist apartments that are like teeny tiny that have been like retrofitted into, you know, buildings that have been disused for a long time. A lot of them are in Australia, and just seeing how they fit so much functionality into one space, it's very calming to my mind because everything around me is so chaotic and just like full of things. And to be honest, I really started to see that part of myself as like a failing. I was like, oh, well, you know, if I really love things and I change my mind sometimes, but then I change my mind back. So like things don't get like wasted. They just tend to kind of go out of use for a while and then come back. I kind of felt like the whole like idea of an aesthetic ended up being more stressful to me than just deciding that I'm going to live in my own paradigm. And I had to kind of realize that over and over again. It sounds like such an easy decision, but for somebody who really likes to express themselves with their outward appearance, and also someone who is constantly kind of trying to over-optimize things, I felt like, you know, that was going to be something that would work for me, like minimalism as a mindset, minimalism in a way that I dressed, things like that. But like, I found that I could do it, but I couldn't only do that. There are definitely moments in my life where I'm like, I'm sick of looking at this thing. But be it an outfit or a piece of furniture or, you know, just anything lying around, and I'm just like, I had plans for this and I have accepted the fact that I'm not going to follow through on them and I'm going to donate it, you know? And I always make sure that it's going someplace, it's not just going in the garbage kind of thing. But that was a thing I had to come around to, because there is like this, there's this appeal, right, to minimalism as just like an entire idea. Like, oh, I'm going to just I'm going to solve my life. I'm going to solve these things that are constantly occupying my mind. But I realized that while I love when I see somebody who's wearing a really minimal outfit and totally pulling it off and looking really cool, that's still just a look that I like. It's not that it's minimal, you know, it's not that it's unaesthetic. It's just like, I would like to have that outfit. And it's not so much that it needs to be the only thing in my wardrobe. It's just that I want to be able to have like that encapsulated like vibe in an outfit. And so I have bought items where they are very simple and they really like serve a huge function in my wardrobe. But at the same time, I talked about this pretty recently, but like, I realize I'm optimizing things I enjoy. Like shopping, as shallow as it is, like, you know, as shallow as society wants to make it be, which I don't think that it is necessarily, shopping is something that I really enjoy. Why am I going to try and optimize that and make it smaller, like a smaller part of my life? And it made me start looking at my wardrobe differently too, being like, you know what? That is not part of this idea, but all of these are part of me. Like, they're part of the me idea. And when I just freed myself of that, I found even shopping to be a less stressful pursuit, because I was like, you know what? Can I see myself wearing it? Would I feel awesome in it? Add to cart, you know? Like, and that's outside of, obviously, you know, budgets. Like, you're not just gonna add everything to cart, but you know, if I'm looking for a certain thing, I run across, like, I found that I can trust my instinct so much more now. Like, I showed you guys those boots that make me feel like Riku from Final Fantasy. Like, is that part of any kind of aesthetic in my life? No. Not anymore, you know? Like, it's not something where I'm constantly trying to sort of fit into a box that I feel like the internet did to us to begin with, right? But I guess what I'm saying is I've learned to trust a really strong response in my mind. Like, I see something and I'm like, that is fantastic and I don't quibble on it, be it the price, be it like, you know, the color or the actual silhouette of it or whatever, like if I have a really, really visceral response to it, I acknowledge that. Like I listen to that instead of being like, I need to only fit my style into this little aesthetic because I need to optimize my wardrobe. I need to be more of a minimalist, etc. You know? And so I would say that minimalism is one that definitely never worked for me. And also I have had to, just on a, you know, different answer to the same question, had to really acknowledge the fact that there are things that are for certain body types and not for mine. If I'm not going to go and get bazongas installed on the front of my body, there are just certain things that I'm never going to be able to buy and wear. Anything with like a sweetheart neckline or something like that, like no. Anything with that's like a tube top, I look like I'm wearing a tube sock. And I understand that that's not like, there are plenty of people my shape who don't feel that way about what they wear, and that's totally fine. But for me, I don't feel like I'm a super, super feminine person to begin with. So like, I'm going to lean into styles that flatter me in a more androgynous way because that's kind of what I'm drawn to anyway, and it's also what works for me better. I learned that actually when I was pregnant and then I was breastfeeding and I still had these bazongas. Like I was like a full C for a while, and it was wild kind of like getting to try that on because none of my clothes fit anymore, obviously, but even if they did fit, they didn't fit like they used to. And I realized I'm so used to wearing these really great boyish silhouettes because I have no boobs, and there's something really, really wonderful about that because it's where I've lived in my mind my entire life. It's familiarity to me. That part I'm gonna optimize just because otherwise then I feel like I'm comparing myself to other people and trying to be something that either I'm not or that I don't wanna be. Like I don't wanna go get a boob job. I've had my moments, but I realized being pregnant that I don't want to. And so I just, you know, I stopped shopping as much on like revolve.com. Even the girls, the models who have like very, very small chests, like that stuff is just placed ever so delicately on them for the picture. Like it's not functional. You know, you got a shirt tucked in at the waist, but it's like literally unbuttoned all the way down. It's like, okay, well, you know, I don't think of garment tape as an integral part of my wardrobe on a day-to-day basis, and that would probably kind of weird people out at like daycare pickup. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. It's not my lifestyle. Yeah, there's certain stuff that I feel like is just like purely influencer wear. Okay, so I'm using Oyster Pearl right now as a bronzer. The way that I'm doing it is putting it on the back of my hand, and before it dries down, I mean, it doesn't completely dry down, but before it tries to dry down, picking it up on this really big brush here from BK. This is the 105, and I'm just using that as like a nice bronzer. And the luminosity in it, it's always been kind of subtle. That's it right there. And for that reason, I feel like it does a beautiful job. Ingrid, good call. I don't know where she saw it, probably on frickin' TikTok, you know? That's where all of our ideas incubate now, and it just sort of trickles down, but like, wow. Yeah, I like that, and it is such a more agreeable formula to that than it is to putting it on my eyes. And I told her, I said, that is my kind of out of the box thinking of saying, you know what? I'm going to separate my mind from the idea of where this is meant to go on my face and just look at the color and the texture. It's a very Danessa Myricks mindset, you know? Just apply it where you think it goes. Ooh, yes, that is dystopian cowgirl fortune teller energy, isn't it? And it's actually gonna like dry down in a nice way. Yes. Whew. Whew, look at this guy. Is that special or what? Okay, let's find another one. Thoughts on the British monarchy? Woo. I don't really have any. Other than like, I watched The Crown, and like, there's only really one way you can feel coming out of watching The Crown, and that is like, oh, this is absurd. It's really fascinating, but it's very silly. How do you get the motivation to get ready and look nice for staying home? Kelsey Faith B95 asks. Wow, you have to be a person who like really gets something out of it, you know? Like, and I get enough out of it that it's worth it to me. Like I just look down the barrel of my day and I'm just like, well, I gotta make time to get myself ready because I know it's going to make me feel fantastic. That's all. And it's not like I feel like it's a wasted day if I don't, but I do feel so freaking much better if I do. I'm gonna go with a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury on the contour as well, because I do feel like that's very, very similar in shade to the Oyster Pearl. Ingrid Nilsson asks, Gavin Leatherwood, Darren Barney, or Evan Mock? I need to Google who Darren Barney is. Darren, oh, I think she means Barnett. She means Darren Barnett. Yes, okay, so Darren Barnett was in Love Hard. Yeah, he was gorgy. But he really looks like if you take Gavin Leatherwood and mix him with Alfie Days. And so I would definitely go Gavin Leatherwood out of that. But like, okay, am I allowed to have pockets in my life, right, of fantasy men that I see myself with? Because Gavin Leatherwood is one mood and Evan Mock is a completely other mood. I think we can all agree that Evan Mock transcends sexuality and gender. He is just objectively beautiful and like not even a very good actor. My friend Leslie says that he's purely ornamental in Gossip Girl. It's like my favorite thing ever. I'm glad that they all exist. But like, if I had to pick one, like actually on like personality, looks, the whole package, it would be Gavin Leatherwood. He is so beautiful that like even during the lulls of Sabrina, you know, I was like, I'm just tuning in to hoping for some Nicholas. That's all I want is some Nick Scratch, okay? And I think that's why we were all there. If you had a magical fairy blank check patron, what passion would you follow? I would move to Italy. I would pick up and probably take my whole family with me because they all want to go too. So it wouldn't even be a sacrifice. I'd take my family, I'd take my husband's family, I would take my friends. Yeah, that is the thing that I would do. And I'm not even sure what I would do when I got there. I just know that it would inspire me so much. I don't know if I would make wine or if I would grow pomodoros or if I would learn how to cook or just paint all day or just continue being a YouTuber, maybe become some kind of like more of a daily vlogger because it's so beautiful there. But yeah, my ideal, if somebody gave me a blank check, I'm not sure what my actual pursuit would be, but I would pursue it in Italy. Specifically Florence. But I haven't been everywhere yet, you know? So Florence of all the places that I've been in Italy, which are not super many. Okay, I want to start in with the eyelights. I want to do this before I decide like what blush I'm gonna use. So I got the shades Sunbeam and Spark, and they are very pretty. I thought I ordered 3, but I ended up with 2. And they come with, every one of them comes with a little metal key, very hair color in my mind, you know, to make sure that you squeeze out the most when you're done. This is Sunbeam and this is Spark. So Spark is looking a lot like Oyster Pearl and everything else, but it dries down in the most beautiful way. And I think I'm gonna start with Spark. I wanna kind of get something a little bit mucky going, and then maybe I'll see how that tops off. But like, truth be told, that looks like a highlighter to me, or like a NARS Orgasm kind of blush. And I started spreading it out right here to see if I could achieve that with it. And I might just try it. It's molten gorgeousness. It's not the same consistency as the Vesca Moonlit Dream, but it is kind of the same saturation of the color, because it stays super consistent. It's not like it blends out and you only get like one shift. That's kind of what happens sometimes with these, where it's beautiful if you build it, but if you try and blend it out, you only get like gray or brown kind of thing in the taupe. And this, I feel like, stays really consistent. So I'm gonna see if I apply that like that and then try and kind of blend it with something here, if I can do that. Oh my gosh. That is just so easy. What a good formula. Yeah, I was really hoping that it would kind of stand up to my initial impressions, because my initial impressions were that is a really pretty committed, consistent formula. But like, you know, you never know if it's gonna dry down too fast or not want to feather at the edges, or I had no brush on hand. I wouldn't have known how it was gonna manipulate with a brush. But it is just, oopsies, night and day different from other things that I have come to understand from RMS as a brand. It's like somewhere in between like a paint pot from MAC and that Vesca Moonlit Dream. And also a little bit like the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize, except it dries down. And it's not giving me any kind of sensation necessarily on my eyes, but when I put it on my hand, like full on, it's cooling in a really nice way. Not in a menthol way, but just kind of like, just kind of cool feeling. I don't know, kind of interesting. So yeah, Spark does have a little bit of like a magenta shift to the brown. That was a terrible, terrible job showing you guys that. Do you see how it kind of wants to shift a little bit magenta? And I feel like even when you spread it out, you still get that. And you can apply it with a brush. Oh my God. Yep, that is a winner. Like I can pick it up on a fluffy brush and it's not mucking everything up. And I can apply it very similarly to a regular powder. That's the thing, is it has to be able to agree one way or the other. Like if I have to completely change my technique for a formula, I'm probably not gonna reach for it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say, oh, that's the worst thing in the world, but I probably will reach for it less. I'm gonna grab a little one, grab some of what's left there. It's starting to dry down, so. Oh my gosh, look at the smoky effect that that just gave me. And it's okay that it's drying down because like, it still stays, I mean, it's pretty dried down, but like you can still manipulate it a little bit. There we go. So I applied a little more wet, and that's when you start to get more of that magenta shift. So I'm doing that with a smaller brush. And that's something I very typically do just because this part of my eye doesn't love to grab product as evenly as everything else. And so I tend to kind of build the crease up, and then I'll go back in with my fluffy brush and just feather the edges. Yeah, and I really like that my brain automatically goes to Sunbeam being a little bit of a blush, because you guys know when I want to kind of bring a look together, when it's not coming together, I like to put my blush into my eye look, and it will like make it all look like it's a little bit more of the same idea. And I have a feeling that it's just gonna all drape, you know? Like, let's do it. I do love when I'm using a formula and I just get like instantly inspired. You know, I have a vision for it because of the nature of the formula and how it behaves, and that's how I'm feeling right now. Most embarrassing thing you've done, Claire, I cannot tell that one. I know exactly what it is, but I will have to reveal it like someday when I'm on like Grace Helbig's podcast or something. Like, I am saving it. Can you attach a vlog camera to Simon's head for a day? So actually I have, and if I can, I'll stick some footage in, because Simon does have a habit of like grabbing my phone, turning it on, and then just like going about his cute little baby life. Super warm. They've got the like really nice squishy stuff on the inside. I'm sure she bought like size 5. Okay. Okay. Dada. Really long video, guys. I love you too. And we don't realize it until I'm like looking at my phone later. Okay, so I'm layering a little bit of Sunbeam right on top. Kind of pull that out like that. Yeah, man, that color commits in a really nice way. You're not like, where is it? I hate when stuff is creamy and you're like, oh, this is gonna be so easy to use, and then it just blends away and you're like, or not. So since this is all kind of in the shimmery family, I will probably use, like I pulled out this, my Revlon Color Stay Cream Eyeshadow in Chocolate. I really feel like it's gonna go really well with it. Like I swatched it right there. Just kind of putting together my color palette today. And that will give me a nice matte crease that's an agreeable, hopefully, an agreeable formula in combination. I definitely love finding the like vlogs from my son on my phone. They're so funny. All right, what happens if I take this on like a fluffy brush, right? And just, this is Sunbeam. I was going to say, Ingrid, you inspired me, but I'm going to go ahead and say, Ingrid, you enabled me. because this works just as well as the Charlotte Tilbury. So it's like you have more than one use case for this beautiful formula, and that is also as a long wearing shimmery blush. And it's not like mucking up, which is really nice because, you know, I do have a lot of layers of things on my skin right now. But is that, oh my God, is that not gorgeous? Okay, let's go in with my Revlon Color Stay here. What is your advice for someone who wants to start a family this year, maybe, hopefully? I'm not gonna expose who you are, but can I say I'm really, really excited for you? I'm really excited for you. That's so freaking exciting. Congratulations. My advice, especially as a woman, is to make sure that you guys are on the same page as much as possible. And when I say that, I mean, as a woman, stand your ground. Because dudes, it is not their fault. They have been brought up in a society that really thinks that things are supposed to be pretty easy for them. I know I'm generalizing, but it is such a thing I've seen, you know, and heard from people. And I mean, there are obviously great male parents, but as far as understanding what you're getting yourself into, having a baby is really, really, really hard. Okay, can we talk about that? How great that just went? That's the Revlon Color Stay. Holy crap, that looks great. Understand that your imagination of how hard it's going to be is still your imagination, having slept probably a full night last night and probably full nights for the last, you know, a memorable amount of time, give or take, unless you're Amanda, who never sleeps. Add into that being not just underslept, but underslept from the jump, because you're gonna be in the hospital, and the hospital is like you lose complete, I mean, you're gonna be wherever, birthing center, what have you, but like you completely lose your sense of time, and because everything is about the baby. And so, first of all, like I was watching The Office, like you do, and they're like, oh, you know, typically the parents let the baby stay in the nursery the first night. Send your baby to the nursery as often as you can. Your insurance dollars are paying for it. You will have plenty of time to bond with your child. Set yourself up with some sleep, okay? There's gonna be all this wild guilt, like new parent guilt, where you're like, nope, I need this child to be as close to me as possible. You'll have plenty of time. You'll have plenty of time for your child to be as close to you as possible, okay? So use the, oh, and also as far as like trying to conceive, because you're obviously like not even like telling me that you're pregnant, you're going to like start trying. Don't put too much like pressure on yourself and on the timeline. Go watch some people who have had like, you know, struggles in the past and things like that. Highly recommend Femhead. She does a really, really good job of talking about like your cycle and trying to conceive and all her issues and like how crazy she got. Like her own words, like she got real crazy about trying to conceive and like, you know, trying to get a positive pregnancy test. And I was very lucky. I'm extremely fertile and I still miscarried the first time. So you give yourself some grace and feel through your feelings, because they're going to be very big feelings. It's just very big feelings bringing a human into the world. And if you feel like your partner is not on board with you, like is excited about the idea of a baby but doesn't really understand the practical implications of it and things like that, wait. That is some more advice, some practical advice. I'm using my Beauty Pie Triple Beauty Wand because it is my favorite. Yes, if I use too much of it, it creases my eye look, but I'm just very gentle with it. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Ooh. Yep. I am a big fan of everything that is happening on my eyes right now. It's making me very happy. The thing that I ended up kind of coming around to in my wear test, that I filmed yesterday that will never see the light of day because my computer probably already ate it, is that I'm like kind of starting to side with Hannah in what she said in her Lisa Eldridge review video. She was like, I'm starting to think like maybe I'm not as into like light coverage, dewy skin tints as I thought that I was. I would rather be able to achieve a dewy look, but have something that I can get more coverage with and just spread it out if I want to, versus trying to build it and ending up with more makeup on my face. And I'm like, I kind of feel you on that, because I just feel like sometimes I end up doing more work and putting more makeup on to get the amount of coverage that I like, versus like the new NARS. It's so nice because it has a little bit more coverage, and it's like I have to do a lot less work and I still feel like it looks very natural. So I'm gonna do my brows real quick. Amanda was talking about the new NARS, the light reflecting foundation, and she pointed out something I didn't even know about it, and that is that it's silicone free. Holy moly. It's a high performing, beautiful foundation. And it shoots to the top of my list if it's silicone free in terms of recommendations, because that's just one fewer thing to worry about in terms of it irritating somebody's skin or something. Like, that's awesome. That's so cool. No fragrance, no silicones, big shade range, impressive. And as far as silicones are concerned, I'm pretty sure that this funky Orbits style formula where it's sort of suspended in a clear like skincare thing and then it sort of resolves, looks like a broken cream sauce and then it resolves. I think that that might thrive on or hinge on a silicone called amidimethicone, because it's in both the Rose Inc and the Chanel. And that is the only silicone that's in there, and it's pretty deep down on the ingredient list. So it's pretty chill and quote unquote clean. I'm quoting the Rose Inc website as well. I do like it though. Like, it is actually very long wearing. If you don't use something too emollient underneath it, it does all its own work. It's a very all-in-one kind of product. And I do feel like, a lot of formulas talk about being skincare based, and it really is. The fact that as you wear it, you're like, oh, the serum part of it makes my skin look like I put a serum on before this. It's worth my money. Throw on some eyeliner and answer another question. I want to know more about why you're not vlogging anymore. All right, let's talk about that. Okay, so when I moved up to New Jersey, I was vlogging once a week because I felt like it was just kind of a cool journey, and I love where I live. It's beautiful. Like, we're on 3 acres. We have forest around us, and we have deer in our yard every day, and it's just a very kind of romantic place. And then summer came around, and we had bought the house without actually seeing the pool in real life uncovered, because we bought it during winter time and it was covered and literally covered in snow. When that pool is uncovered, my backyard looks like a resort. It is so awesome. It is the prettiest pool, and I was just so thrilled. It's the first time in my life that I've ever had a pool to myself, and it was all I wanted when I was pregnant, and everything was closed. Even our community pool was closed. I mean, obviously because of COVID. And so I was so hot in Central Texas, carrying a baby around on the front of me, like inside my belly. All I wanted to do was go dip in a body of water. Oh, and Texas loves this thing where when it gets really, really hot outside, they'll just have blue-green algae that's neurotoxic to dogs. And so we didn't want to go and swim in a natural body of water either, because our dog might die. Texas. All that to say, I never got my dip, And so when I saw the pool, I was just reliving my fantasy. I was just like having the best time. And also, the people who lived before us, all our ancestors, the people who lived in this house before us did an amazing job landscaping. It was like this dude's passion project, honestly, and the craziest things came up. We're just like sitting there on the porch, and all of a sudden, like, there's peonies growing in our yard, just gorgeous bright pink peonies. And I was like, what? So it was just very dreamy. Like, they did such a good job, and all of it had kind of been hidden under this blanket of snow, and it was all revealing itself, and I really wanted to share that, and I loved it so much. I also was taking some time to myself in the mornings and like really trying to be a little more meditative about how I approached my day, and trying not to over optimize, kind of my ongoing project at all times. And I tended to only film myself when I was in those very peaceful moments. The criticism that I got, people basically being like, you send your kid to daycare so that you can just like be lazy all day. Or even just something as simple as someone saying, what does her husband do for work? Because it was like inconceivable that I would be able to like have that kind of leisure time and split my time between that and my job kind of thing. And it was just a lot of like little stuff like that, where I understand that a lot of people appreciated the vlogs, but like they don't get very many views. And it was such like a departure from my normal workflow that between people kind of crapping on the things that were really helping my mental health, because being a new mom is really hard and I had a lot of really bad postpartum depression and stuff like that. But even if you don't have that, like your mental health is important. And it was like things that were, I was sharing things that were really helpful for me. And the response being that, you know, I was a bad mom and that I was lazy. I was just like, you know what? This is a part of myself that doesn't get to be shared. It is, I'm drawing a boundary, and it's because you have to draw a boundary somewhere. I just did not, I wanted to kind of keep certain things about myself and about my life to myself, because it's kind of the reason that I don't show my kid's face on the internet. It's like, because if someone were to say something sideways about something that I love so deeply and passionately, like it makes me the kind of angry that I don't ever want to be. Instinct takes over. And we are living in a very interesting time period where there's like this crossover of generations, right? Where I'm sitting there talking about how my life has improved so much because I'm able to have time to myself to decide what I'm going to do with that time. You know, I did design a career for myself that was supposed to be flexible so that I could do things like, you know, do yoga in the morning if I so chose, kind of thing. And there are a lot of people who were shoehorned into a life that they didn't expect to have when they had children, however many years ago, and they think that I'm just a really big brat and that, you know, I don't deserve what I have. And it's like, I'm not here to argue that, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to talk about, because it's just, it's a moot conversation. It's not something where anybody's ever going to like come to a consensus. And so I was like, this is something that is still like, I'm not going to stop doing these things that make me happy and enjoying myself, but I'm enjoying myself less knowing that sharing this means that I'm opening myself up to somebody criticizing the things that make me really happy. And that was just where I drew a line. And I don't like to let the haters bring me down, but at the same time, it's a lot of trouble. It's a lot of trouble and a lot of work to like share those kinds of things and film yourself instead of just enjoying yourself. And so I chose to just enjoy myself. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of MAC Glow Play in Cheer Up right here, because I think that that's gonna kind of give me a little bit more matte. I mean, not matte, but like, you know what I mean? Not sparkly. And that'll really help. Also, I found that the rose ink, if you don't have too much emollients under it, that's kind of the subtext of all of this, but it actually supports powder really nicely. It doesn't like go super soupy and like try and break up on you too much. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of like, you know, nuclear level coverage here. That's the Lily Lolo Mineral Concealer. I love it. I really do. It's amazing stuff. And I am still going to do a little bit of just regular powder as well. Yeah, I panned my, I hit pan on my Bite Beauty powder, which is very exciting. It makes me want to continue using it just because I would love to finish a product. That would be amazing. That isn't like a brow pencil. What age did you get comfortable with your own chaos? Here at 26 years old and I'm stressed. Wow. You know, it's kind of funny. I've never really like looked at it through that lens. It was more like I lost a fight. I was fighting for so long to try and be palatable to people and be normal, quote unquote, and just be like cool. And I realized that all it did was make me feel the need to overcompensate by, you know, drinking or going out more than I was comfortable with or things like that, just to try and kind of fit in. But I always ended up coming home in this weird shame spiral because I was like convinced that I was always the most obnoxious person in the room. It's been such like a process of me tightening my grip on what something is supposed to look like. That was a big thing that me and Kackie and Ingrid talked about in so many different ways when I was in the city over the weekend, which by the way, was just like the most wonderful, soul-filling just enriching experience of just being around really empowered women. Female friendship is the meaning of life, guys. We were talking basically about the idea of just like separating yourself from the way that, and it's like a really constant process of identifying blind spots of the way that you have played into, you know, the agreements that you've kind of unwittingly made in your life of like what things are supposed to look like. And for me, it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to try, like growing up equals fitting in with these people or whatever. And sometimes they were like my husband's friends or people from work or things like that. And it was like my whole life, all the way like from childhood on, everybody has like a word, right? That they're like afraid of being called because it's the one thing that they thought was like the worst thing to be called when they were a kid. And mine is annoying because I'm very loud and I'm very talkative and I have a lot of ideas, and I've always thought that I needed to really temper that. Like, I do, let's be real. Like, letting other people talk is very important. And it's about finding people who are interesting enough that you'd rather listen than talk. You know, people who are engaged enough. And I found that that was a big shift for me. I was like, I'm more interested in what you're saying than what I'm thinking. So go on, you know, that's a big one. But also just the understanding that hanging out with friends doesn't have to look the way that you think it does. Your friends don't have to be the kinds of people that, like, your life doesn't have the amount that you go out, the things that you talk about, the things that are cool and not cool to talk about, or comfortable and not comfortable to talk about. Those are the kinds of boxes that at least I didn't ever question in my life. And there's something that, like, I found that, like, okay, if I take myself out of this situation of, you know, imposing and projecting judgment upon myself based on who it is that I think I'm supposed to be, then I basically like start back at square one of this is me, right? This is me, and what if I'm okay with just being alone until I find people who I really, really click with? So that was step one, right? And obviously, like, having a lot of other things going on in my life is helpful. I didn't feel completely alone. I was able to like distract myself. And that's really how I existed, especially on YouTube for a very long time. Like, even at my job, I still felt very like ostracized, with the exception of like a few people. And then working by myself, it was just kind of like, I really only had myself and like my comments to bounce things off of. And so I started to really you know, curate, right? This sorts of like energy, like try and attract, leave space for the energies that I really felt like were going to be better for me. And like, what I found was there are people just like me in the sense that they're incredibly outgoing, but they had maybe been like, you know, their energy had been squashed, their spirit had been squashed over the years. And when I found those people, or really they found me, they pulled me out of my shell in such a lovely way. And there have been people like that at my jobs too. My friend Bex is like one of those people who I will always remember as like seeing me and knowing me instantly. She was just like, you are a wounded bird, and you are like, she's a Sagittarius, and she just like was so good at just being 100% herself and pulling me out of my shell to be 100% myself, even in, you know, with everybody around us just being like kind of judgy. I found that in friends, but also I have found that especially like this year has just brought, like, I guess I should say like the whole last year, because it started with Amanda. And Amanda is just one of those people who attracts really, really like positive, creative people. And she's also like really outgoing. Like, she's the first person to send you like a really goofy selfie of like where she's at or what she's doing with like no context whatsoever. And I have always been in this mindset of just like, oh, I need to be palatable. I don't want to send somebody a text message that's weird and they're like, what is that? You know what I mean? I don't want to be annoying. I never want to be annoying, kind of thing. And like, to have these people who are like really confident around me and who do show their vulnerability so readily, I was like, oh, I started to feel like I could like spread out, you know? And it's like with her, with Ted, Kate, Ingrid, these people who have more experience and more confidence in friend making than I do. And I thank those people in my life for like going out of their way to do more than their fair share of the work in befriending me, because I am somebody who is very like quote unquote content to be alone, in the sense that like I grew up in an environment where I felt like my trust was abused a lot. You know, I wasn't abused, but my trust was abused. I would trust people and they would kind of treat that like it didn't really matter to them. Their word didn't mean anything. And I got to a point probably like by the time I moved out of my, you know, parents' house where I was like, look, I need to become completely financially independent. I need to become a good enough adult, I guess, in order to make sure that I never have to count on anybody again, because I can't count on anybody but myself. And I don't think that that is very uncommon. I think a lot of people solve for being betrayed or the perception of being betrayed in their lives by doing that, by just kind of like isolating, and I did. And so it's like, not only have I had to, you know, start opening up and creating space for similar energies and people who want the same things out of a friendship as I do, like in my life, but also I really wouldn't have been able to do it without people who were willing to try and try and try, because like I'm an open book on here because I feel safe and I can edit myself, but when it comes to friendship, I'm just, you know, mortally terrified of annoying somebody. Sorry for annoying you with my friendship. The Office, oh my god. That's not blended, is it? Let's fix that. Anyway, I feel like it's been such like a long process of me, quote unquote, like, you know, learning to be comfortable with my chaos. But the other thing is, especially around, you know, my husband's like cool friends, because he had some like cool friends when we first met, and like they always kind of also treated me like I was a little annoying, you know? You have to just realize that anybody who treats you like that is insecure, okay? If they think that you're like too weird for them, A, obviously they don't deserve your friendship, but B, it's because they are uncomfortable. It's because they have insecurities that they need to deal with. That was like a big lesson for me. I'm like, no one is a jerk because they're truly confident in themselves. So if someone like treats you like crap, and granted, if you have to be around them, you don't have a choice because they're like a parent or a coworker or something, it's like, you know, try and make some kind of long-term plan to have to, you know, get away from them. But if, you know, in most cases in your life, you get to kind of choose who you interact with, understand that like even the people who have made, you know, inroads in careers and things like that by being a jerk, they're still unbelievably insecure. And the fact that you have the self-awareness to, oh, that's nice, the self-awareness to like recognize that and not take it personally, because it's just the fact that they haven't dealt with their own crap and they haven't asked themselves the hard questions and really done the work, that's not on you. And yeah, we have to be around those people sometimes, you know, but everybody has bad days and everybody deserves a little bit of grace. And even the people who, maybe especially the people who are the like adult bullies, right? We just have to kind of take pity on them, because that's a person who has a lot of baggage that they have just done nothing but build mechanisms to avoid it instead of just approaching it head on and doing the work. And so I have been lucky enough, honestly, law of attraction, to attract the kinds of people by exchanging ideas that I think are important and sometimes putting things out there that might be annoying or might be a little bit like uncomfortable. I feel like I have winnowed down and attracted a lot of people who have very similar personalities to me, who are not afraid of maybe alienating some people by attracting the right people. Being like 100% liked has never been something that's very important to me, but it's also not, A, it's not possible, but B, it's not something that was ever possible for me, because I have never been able to shrink. I have never been able to blend in. I've just never been able to. And I feel so much more empowered when I live in my own paradigm, as in like I kind of only judge myself against myself, or I only let myself be creatively inspired by the things that creatively inspire me instead of comparing myself to other people and things like that. And the newest kind of version of that for me has been just trying to question what things are supposed to look like, because that's the way that we move forward. Generationally, especially, because like I have a kid to raise and I want to make sure that he has a very healthy sense of skepticism. I'm using the Dior because I feel like it's always the final touch. I love it. It's so good. Just wakes everything up. The Dior Pink 001. All right, I feel like we're really getting somewhere. I'm going to open this bad boy up. This is Nympho from NARS, and Hannah Louise posted. She was talking about how everybody had told her that she needed to try this because the color description on the website was taupe. Oh boy, guys, it's so good. I'm going to do a little bit of Kackie lip liner first because they are so similar in color. Will you ever let us see Simon's adorable sweet face? No. Nope, he is the cutest child in the world. Just imagine the cutest thing you've ever seen and then like multiply it by 1,000. Have you ever questioned your sexuality? Just curious. What a fun question. You know, here I was, right, at dinner with Kackie and Ingrid, which was just so much fun. And Kackie is bi and Ingrid is gay. And I'm sitting there like, I mean, we get frustrated, right? I've been with my husband for 9 years. And you kind of have little hangups and things like that. And we're all talking about our relationships and everything. And I had asked Kackie some, very personal questions, and she was doing a really great job of kind of like, walking me through her relationship history and stuff. She's such a good storyteller too. It was hilarious. We were crying. Like I cannot stop like replaying her stories in my head because they're so funny. Anyway, I was like, I've been asked by multiple people in my life and multiple people on the internet whether or not I'm bisexual or gay or whatever. People have been trying to be really sensitive to it on like message boards. They're like, look, I get it. She has a kid and a husband, but like she gives me big gaydar vibes. And I'm just like, okay. I'm sitting there talking to them and I'm like, is it possible to be in a relationship with a woman but like not want to have sex with a woman? And they're just like, no. And I was like, yep, that gay, sorry. No can do, bro. I am cursed with a love of the male form and all that it has to offer. I like the way men look, I like the way they smell, I like their energy, and they are frustrating creatures. They are so similar in so many ways because of the ways that society has like, influenced being male and being female in our society, heteronormatively speaking. And I mean, these are definitely things that I'm glad that I was able to identify, especially like I said, bearing in mind that I'm raising a little boy. But I have always said, like, as far as especially like my androgyny and things like that are concerned, I have always been unable to control what inspires me, and I think that probably we all are, but like I don't really have a filter for that kind of thing. And a lot of times I would see a guy and I would like lust after his entire energy so much that it would inspire me to dress like him. And that was a big thing for me. Like as a teenager, I was like, why do I always want to like dress like a hot dude? And even my first Tumblr was called Garçon Mignon, like cute boy, because like I just always had this thing for emulating what I thought was hot, and I have literally never been attracted to the female form, ever. And I've seen a lot of naked ladies. I did figure drawing. I took figure drawing more times than I even took wheel throwing in college because I love the human form. I love drawing the human form. That's something that I'm really passionate about, is like the, just the way that, our bodies, fold and it's just the beauty of the differences in all of our bodies. But have I ever felt titillated? Have I ever gone to bed thinking about a girl in my life? No, I have not. I'm gonna do all of that, all of that. What else do I want to do on my face here? My best friend growing up, ended up coming out pretty early on in her 20s, and it's just always been something that has never bothered me whatsoever. Like there was never any crossover in my mind of like, my best friend is gay. Does that mean we're gay for each other? Does that mean she's attracted to me? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? There was never that even like crossed my mind. I don't obviously think it crossed hers either, but like I have a lot of gay friends and I always have. And that has like, I have never once actually truly felt like pulled towards being attracted to a woman in like a romantic sense. And you'll know, like I'm definitely the kind of person who, if I were, I would have told you by now. I'm an open book, I guess. But I mean, I had a receptionist at my old, you know, barbershop job, and she asked me like almost monthly. She'd be like, "You're sure you're not gay?" And I'm like, "Yes, Kristen, I'm sure I'm not gay." Mixed feelings is on its way. A rice scented candle, I mean, get real. Did you ever find an underwear brand you liked? I remembered you tried one a long time ago. Nope. I am still living in the sad, sad world of Victoria's Secret underwear because nothing else makes my butt look that cute, okay? And nothing else is that comfortable, and I'm ashamed of it. Oh, how much do you make doing YouTube? I can just go ahead and answer this. Last year, I just got my tax form. On actual YouTube, I made $46,000 on views. That's not my entire income. Obviously, I, you know, get like affiliate money, and you know, you do brand deals and stuff like that. And some, like if they're longer term, sometimes they pay you less. If they're like short term, sometimes they pay you more. Sometimes it works the other way around where they kind of build a relationship with you and then they, you know, see your ROI and they pay you more going forward kind of thing. But yeah, on actual Google, like my Google tax form, I made close to like $47,000. How do you cope with the meaninglessness and absurdity of life? Laugh. You have to. There's actually a lot of freedom to the meaninglessness and absurdity. Deets on why you regretted your wedding. Because I let myself be steamrolled. Slowly, 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 like boiling a frog. To the point that it didn't even feel like it had anything to do with me in the end. And I was just kind of showing up as this weird like cake topper. And it was so expensive and it was none of what I wanted. And it taught me some really good lessons about how to engage with people in my extended family moving forward, and it has been a very healthy exercise because I have put my foot down after that. And you maybe scared the heck out of people, but sometimes if I'm given the option, I would rather be feared than liked. And that's how you gain respect when push comes to shove. So it was overall a good thing because, you know, for like long-term purposes, but I lost so much sleep going up to the wedding and I cried myself to sleep like every single night because I did not know how to cope with this feeling of having absolutely no control over what was going on, and that there was going to be this day coming up on the horizon where I had to show up and pretend that I wanted to be there because I didn't. I just wanted to be married. I never wanted to get married. You mentioned having gotten Botox and filler in a recent video. Can you talk more about that? I have filler in my lips. I've only had it done twice, and I'm just gonna run the camera out. I'm gonna run the card out, and then we'll, you know what I mean? That's what will end the video. I'll just answer questions until it runs out. But this is the vibe, this is the energy, and I'm obsessed. Actually, let's do a quick smash or pass. Smash, hit. These are great. These are really, really good. So I don't know if there's some place where you can bundle them. They're $26 a piece, but like one would be fantastic. This is a true one and done eyeshadow, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's actually less expensive than the Vesco ones by like a couple bucks, I think. So yeah, awesome. And the colors are gorgeous. So loving that. This NARS lip gloss, I had tried it before, but like it is maybe my ideal nude. It is so gorgeous. I'm obsessed. Using Charlotte Tilbury Oyster Pearl as a bronzer, someone out there is a genius. The person who I will credit with that is Ingrid because she showed it to me, but wow. And it inspired me to use this one, Sunbeam, as a blush, and it worked gorgeously. I'm really, really loving the whole finish on my face today. So yeah, and then the rose ink, I think I've gone into detail on that at this point. Oh, I haven't done my Kamiko yet. Oh, I did want to tell you guys, and I told you in another video that again escaped into like the vapor of nothingness, is the other twin flames that I got in the shade Lover, I want to say. It is exactly like the one from Natasha Denona that I already had, Dog's Bane, I think. And also it doesn't work the same way. So it as crazy for you because it's not clear. It's like green and I don't like it. So that was a pass for me. So I would say Crazy For You is probably the only one that I would recommend because the other ones just don't give you that like fire. Oh, right, Botox, sorry. I've had, I get 1 cc, or like not 1 cc, 1 syringe, it might be 1 cc, of filler in my lips. I've only had it done twice. I had it done before I was pregnant and after I was pregnant. Pregnancy makes your lips really, really plump. You can't get fillers while you're pregnant anyway, but regardless. When I got all of my teeth crowned, I noticed that like, my lips kind of got swallowed into the whole thing and I just wanted to make them proportionate with my teeth. And so I did, and I love the way that they look. I love the way that my lips look. I will probably maintain it forever because it's just enough. And then Botox wise, I used to get more units of Botox done. I think I got like 22 or something like that. Now it's only like 16. My dermatologist here in New Jersey like didn't even really ask me. She was just like, you're young, so like we want to make sure that we don't overdo it. And it's just everybody kind of has a different way of doing it. And so like my eyebrows move now, which I kind of didn't think was a thing you could have when you had Botox, but like they still move, which is really cool, even though like my forehead is smooth and my globella is not like making 11. So very, very grateful for that. I think she does an amazing job. Which piercings hurt the worst? This one right here in your conch. Oh my God, it hurts like a truck driving through your ear. Do you feel like you know your life purpose? Female friendship. Female friendship is the meaning of life and inspiring one another. What has been your worst in-store customer experience? I fired a client one time. He was abusive. He was verbally abusive, and I dreaded when he would come in. I only saw him maybe 3 times, but like I literally couldn't sleep the night before he came in when I saw him on my books the next day. And he would be like, you know, I can get you fired. I've gotten people fired, hairdressers fired before. He had this like power trip thing in his head where it was like, if he was paying me to cut his hair, then I wasn't allowed to tell him he was wrong or argue with him or anything like that. It was just a very, very strange, like, kink he had, I think. And he sat down in my chair and he said something snarky to me, and I told him like, I dread you coming in. I think that you're a nightmare human, and I hope I never see you again, and I don't want to cut your hair anymore. And he was like, fine. And he just like, you know, stormed out, but was obviously very embarrassed. But like, you know, you gotta protect your peace. Maybe too personal, but are you neurodiverse? I am not. I'm not autistic or anything like that, but I have had a lot of friends who were. Like, it's taught me to be a lot more appreciative of not just kind of like making an effort to be understood, but also the amount of work that goes into trying to like, you know, assimilate. My friend Daniel he had a whole website. He did like a TEDx talk and stuff like that on his, I think he might have written a book. The website was called improveyoursocialskills.com, and he very much like, you know, taught himself. He has Asperger's, and he taught himself basically a lot of the physical signals and things like that helped him to better communicate with other people that aren't neurodiverse. And so it's like those kinds of sensitivities and things like that, I'm always interested in learning more about them. I try and clarify when I'm being like really sarcastic, if like misunderstanding that would be potentially dangerous to my point or things like that, because I do understand that that's not universal. Conversely, ever cried at a job and how you pick yourself back up? Dude, if you cry at a job, that's a really good sign that it's not the job for you. Full stop. What movie has had the biggest impact on your life? Buffalo Beauty Boy asks. Clueless. All right, the battery is low and my card's about to run out, so I just want to thank you guys for sending in these questions. This is my favorite kind of video to do. I love this makeup look that we ended up with today. I'm obsessed. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're gonna keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching, for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you in the next one. I think this is Kackie the feature film.